Thanks for listening to the Clive Barker Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to the imagination of Clive Barker. So coming up in episode 437, we start out the episode with a release date for our long-anticipated interview book. Then Jose and Ryan take another deep dive into the Boom Studios Hellraiser comics, this time with issues 13 through 16, Hell Hath No Fury. Well, welcome. This is episode number 437. So good afternoon, Jose.
Hey, Ryan. How are we doing today?
Good. We're on our first episode of the new season 13.
That's right. 2024, baby. We're back.
Yeah.
And we've got some surprises coming up.
Yeah, normally we would do 2023 in review, right? That's usually what our first episode of this. I guess we don't always, but that's typically what we do for our first one of the year. But this time we are going back to the Hellraiser comics, the Boom Hellraiser comics.
Yes, so this is going to be Hell Hath No Fury, which comprises of issues 13 through 16, right?
Yeah, so while you're out there grabbing those comics to read them really quick, maybe, first we want to make a quick announcement. And this is kind of a big deal for us and maybe a big deal for some people out there that might have lost faith that this would ever happen. But our BarkerCast Interviews Occupy Midian book, the hardcover book, is launching as we're recording this and as it's being released. It's launching tomorrow, January 22nd, 2024.
That's right. It's exciting. We decided to go with Kindle Direct Publishing. So it's going to be a hardcover, and you'll be able to also get the Kindle ebook.
And the Apple books. It's all launching together at the same time on those three versions. And so you'll be able to get one of those three. And if you were a backer way back in 2017 when we thought this would be easy, you'll still get yours. And in fact, we have backers for the hardcover specifically. We'll ship those out to you. We had also promised that everyone who backed the at any level that year was going to get an ebook version. And so we'll do that as well. So I'm going to be sending out an email from that Kickstarter, Blood Money, I think it was, the 2017 Kickstarter.
Oh yeah.
And so for all of the backers to update their contact information, addresses for the people who bought the hardcovers, and email addresses for the people who bought the ebook versions, and then tell us your preference, whether it's Kindle or Apple Books. Probably more Kindle, but we'll see. But those are the two versions that we have, and we need to figure out how to give people free ebook versions. I don't know if I know how to do that yet, but we'll learn.
Yeah, I think we could. I think there's a way of us to create an EPUB format that we could email people. For example, that's one of the things we could do.
Oh, yeah.
Look
actually,
into that.
That's right. I've already exported an EPUB version of the book. Yeah, we can do that if nothing else. If we're not sending a link from the store, like a coupon or whatever. Yes, we can send an EPUB.
It's going to be a big book. It's going to be a big book. It's going to be a hardcover with over 400 pages and a lot of content to go through, a lot of interviews.
Yeah. And
we're really proud of it.
And we have a cover by Clive Barker, and it's a sketch that nobody's seen before of Lude's father, Devil Lude from Nightbreed, right? And
that's right.
And Clive gave us permission to use that. And also we have an intro by Ann Bobby, or a preface by Ann Bobby in here. Very cool. We're looking forward to that launch, and this is also going to be, buying this book will help support the podcast, and we're going to go into that more later because we're gonna do another sort of proper fundraiser.
Book launch.
Yeah, book launch fundraiser sort of a deal. I don't know that we're going to be doing Kickstarter again. I think we're probably going to do something different. We're still sort of debating and talking about it.
That's right.
How that's going to work. The main focus will be the book launch, but we'll also have other stuff too. And that's the stuff we're trying to work out.
So 22nd of January is the date where you guys will be able to get this book.
Yeah.
It's exciting, and we're very happy to bring it to you at last. I'm sorry about the delay.
Yeah, but that's tomorrow. So super excited to have this finally done.
I know.
Yeah. So that being said, mark your calendars for tomorrow for that. But for right now, let's dive into the Hellraiser Boom comics, starting with issue 13. And it took me a bit when reading these again last night to remember, where did we leave off again? What's going on? Right.
So I think, if I recall, Kirsty had Lament Configuration destroyed, and this caused a chain reaction that created a permanent portal between Hell and our world, I guess.
Yeah, because Elliot Spencer had tricked her, and so Tiffany.
Yeah, he showed up in the Quonset hut in India, and that's where Elliot Spencer had first solved the box, and he went back to it, and now there's a giant portal open in India near Calcutta.
So issue 13 is written by Clive Barker and Mark Miller, with art by Janusz, Ordon, and Jesus Hervas. And we're going to see that team, I think, again on the next issue as well. We'll see, but I think that's how it is. And like you said, this is the Hell Hath No Fury set of 4 comics.
That's right.
Yeah. So we start out with Kirsty, and she's got her team of Cenobites, which includes her former harrower friends and her fiance Edgar.
That's right. They're escaping because they've been kind of taken over or overrun by lost souls that have escaped from hell.
Yeah.
And they're not very happy about, being able to vent their grievances with the Cenobites.
Yeah. And Kirsty's, I guess, trying to get him to go back, and it's not working. I never realized that one of these Cenobites looks like a rat, and I don't remember which guy that was.
I don't know. This guy, I think, is it Edgar?
That's not Edgar, because he's still around after an event that comes up here pretty soon.
Well, it's one of the other ones, I guess. It's one of the heralds.
Yeah,
it's because of the art changes throughout these 4 issues. Sometimes it's kind of hard for me to maintain continuity of what character is talking, because different styles draw the characters in different ways, and sometimes it's a little confusing.
I have some trouble later on even understanding which person is Harry D'Amour.
Yeah.
Which is, you'd think
that happened to me too, yes.
Yeah.
So it turns out that Elliot Spencer is now stronger than a human person, right? When he created this rift, when he solved the box, he gained more power. So theoretically, he might have become immortal. If he there's a rule that they're going to mention in one of the issues where it's like if he gets to touch the Lament configuration that turned him in the first place and goes through the portal, he could become technically immortal. He knows he can't go to heaven, but his plan is now to make himself a god on Earth, I think.
Yeah, which almost feels like a shift in direction by the writers, doesn't it? Because it felt to me like they legitimately, at the start, his plan really was to try to get back into heaven. And that somebody just decided along the way that, no, this is the way we're going to go.
Yeah.
But they try to make it like, right. I fooled you, this is what I wanted to do. But it kind of doesn't seem like that's really what it was.
Yeah, I think some things might have changed here and there while they were kind of finagling the story.
Yeah.
But I think it was always expected that Elliot was going to betray Kirsty, that he had his own agenda.
Yeah, and probably that he wouldn't succeed getting into heaven. I mean, I seriously doubt that would be the case. But this idea that he knew all along he was never going to get in and he doesn't even try and that he just tricked everybody, I think that was a change in direction.
Yeah. So Kirsty wants to confront Elliot and take him back to hell, right? So she's saying, well, you broke our deal. This wasn't our deal. And he's like, well, the deal you made hastily to get your loved ones back because they had been killed and turned into tortured souls at that time when she made the deal. And then she got them back as horribly disfigured Cenobites. But yeah, it is true. I mean, I was a little disappointed with the idea that Kirsty, when she became the new Pinhead, that she remained essentially the same Kirsty as before, just, physically looking different. But I always thought that this wasn't just something you would get power but stay the same person. I always felt like this is a transformation turning into a Cenobite that turns you like almost inside out and changes you from the inside out.
Yeah, because Pinhead didn't even remember his previous life. And was that because of the amount of time he was there, or was it because he's a different person? Yeah, and this betrayal kind of makes Kirsty seem a little silly, right? A little like clueless, having a lot of power but not knowing how to wield it, which I guess according to Spencer that happened because it was a hasty deal and she didn't consider all of the things that were being moved behind the curtain. It feels like there's a lot of sort of a lot of homage to Pinhead and Elliot Spencer at the expense of everybody else, all the other characters in this book, right? In this mythology, I guess. So when they confront, Spencer does stab Kirsty Pinhead, the Hell Priestess, which I believe she might have been poisoned here. And Edgar also gets destroyed, like with nothing, Elliot using nothing but his bare hands, right? Yeah, he's like, you leave her alone, and runs up there, and Elliot just like picks him up and rips him in half. Yeah, at this point I was thinking, how could he do that? He's just a regular guy now. But no, apparently they're going to explain that now he's still more than a man. When he met with that Clive Barker sculpture man, shaman creature, god. That's right, whatever. Yes, yeah. That's when he became immortal. And he still controls these lost souls who escaped hell with him. He's told them that if you want to stay here on Earth with me, consider, attacking these strangers. So the enormous crowd of tortured souls starts going after the rest of the Harrowers, and they have to fight their way back outside to the labyrinth. Yes. Yeah. So Kirsty transports, and Tiffany is left behind and taken by Spencer and the tortured souls. In the meanwhile, she gets kind of transported back to hell, but back in hell, the tortured souls are still there and they're still chasing them. So like you said, they have to go into the labyrinth to escape them, which I thought at the time, with all the stuff that was coming out, right? Like, I mean, the Toll and the Scarlet Gospels and these comic books, we were all kind of expecting to see more of hell and to make sure that we understood what kind of continuity we're in and how that works. So it's always fun to see them like show the monastery where the Cenobites go to. Yeah. And it's very similar. There's a lot of parallels with the Scarlet Gospels because, it opens up also with Pinhead in like a monastery in hell and all that stuff. So in a way, it kind of made everything feel cohesive, even though it was its own continuity, the comics, the books, and the movies. It still kind of gave it a little bit of a continuity. Yeah. Yeah, and this, of course, predates the Scarlet Gospels by 2 years, as far as, like, the publication date of it. When the Cenobites and the Harrowers try to go back to hell and run into their monastery, the other Cenobites are like, no, you can't come in here. Nope, you belong with them now. We're not going to let you in because otherwise they're going to be overrun by all those tortured souls. You guys did this. So, So it's crazy, though. I mean, at the end of this comic book, you see that Spencer is now creating almost like a Jonestown in India, where he's taken the other Harrowers. They were still human. He's taken them hostage. Yeah. And then all these tortured souls with no skin are just stumbling around. Yeah. Like becoming his cult. Kirsty and the other Harrowers escape into the labyrinth, and they kind of lose the tortured souls. Kirsty's like, well, I got to go rescue Tiffany and the other our friends, and I'm going to have to close that damn door because, you see that Spencer is kind of like sitting in a throne made out of living people, and, those tortured souls, they really flock to him pretty quickly, huh? Yeah. Out of desperation, I guess. Yeah, they recognize him right away as a god. And then, there's a lot of questioning, like, hey, are we in heaven now? He's like, nah, you don't need that place. We'll make our own heaven.
Make our own heaven and earth.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, while Kirsty is catching her breath, she discovers a familiar face in the labyrinth, right?
Yeah. Female Cenobite.
Yes, because she also wants to have revenge against Elliot Spencer and his rejection of her. So that's how we end the issue 13. That they turn around a corner of the labyrinth and it's like, hey, maybe I can help you. I'm a friend.
Yeah,
and it's
that's kind of the cliffhanger. Yeah, so then we're on to issue 14. Same writing and art credits, right? Written by Clive Barker and Mark Miller, art by Janusz, Ordon, and Jesus Hervas.
Well, then we got issue 14, and has a great cover here. Looks like it's Elliot Spencer on the cover.
That's the one I have, too.
Yeah, and he's surrounded by a host of tortured souls, I guess.
Yeah.
So here's the moment where Kirsty is going to strike another bargain, right? So she knows that the female Cenobite wants the same thing she wants. She wants revenge against Pinhead. And so she kind of drives them away from the labyrinth and says, just follow me because we're not safe here.
Yeah.
Back in India, you've got Spencer. He just found a piece of element configuration inside his Quonset hut where he was originally tore to pieces, right?
Yeah, is that what that is? It looks like it's stuck in his hand. I don't understand.
He picks it up from the floor. It's a little glowing piece, I guess, right? It's like that center circular piece that comes up and down from the face of the box.
Yeah.
And so these are building a little bit like Lucifer and his demons creating pandemonium in hell after they're cast out of heaven. He's creating this kind of weird Jonestown that everybody's building like a shanty town.
Yeah.
And it becomes quite a compound here. You see this big page here. Yeah. Yeah. In the meantime, the Harrowers and Kirsty are still trying to traverse the labyrinth.
Yeah, and they're trying to stay out of Leviathan's black light as they're going through it.
Right. They want to make sure they stay as stealthy as possible. This weird Jonestown that Spencer is building is starting to get attention from military and other people who are seeing that there's something going on, and they're being there's a flyover with a jet. Okay, so someone's looking at what's going on there, and that's going to bring up something interesting in this. They keep introducing interesting, cool stuff, strange ideas out of nowhere. One of them is that we're going to see there's going to be a secret weapon called Heaven's Reply, but that's going to be something for another episode.
Yeah, even though they used Heaven's Reply as sort of the subtitles of the issues a long time ago.
Yeah, and on this issue, we see this part where the female Cenobite is explaining what happened to Elliot Spencer and how he became stronger than a normal man.
Yeah.
It says here that there are stories of a threshold that can be crossed when a dead soul is in proximity to the device responsible for its damnation. If the myths are true, then Elliot Spencer may have passed through that gate when he found the box which brought him here. In doing so, he may have gained immortality. So that was his plan, right? And and
it seems like, I don't know. I mean, it seems like that they made up that plan.
Yeah, and they said
along the way as they went. But
yeah, I know it does seem like they keep writing these things a little bit as the story goes along. But they're like, well, and then when they say this, they also say we must fight fire with fire. We need a device, but they are forbidden here. It will not be easy to find one. And she says, well, we have one.
Yeah.
We brought it back with us. So remember when the Harrowers brought back a lament configuration into hell with them?
Yeah. The one that crashed in the jungle?
Yeah. So apparently they can use that, but the female Cenobite never explains exactly how or why.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the important thing was for Spencer to get the box that turned him into Pinhead. Not why would another completely different box do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
That's a little confusing.
And then the art gets a little weird.
And then Cenobite also hints that they have a friend in Earth that could help them fight Spencer on Earth. So they're going to find a way into the monastery through a secret hideout, right?
Yeah.
I think it's great that they
have to go through this weird claustrophobic tunnel from an open grave, I guess.
Well, this used to be like a garden, right? And there was a bunch of cages that had beasts. But because the beasts had a calming effect on the members of the monastery, they killed the beasts because hell is no place for pleasantries.
Yeah.
And so they have to go through the sewer into the monastery, I guess. It's the equivalent of going through the sewer level.
Yeah.
And for a couple of monsters here, some of these harrowers are a little claustrophobic.
Yeah. I think one of them is.
Yeah. So they sneak their way in, but it looks like it's been too easy, right? They just found it, they grab it, and and then they get ambushed by this weird Cenobite that has.
I don't get what's going on here. I mean, I read this again last night, and I was like, who is this guy? Why is he there ambushing them? And why did they just get to walk away after he kills one of them?
I think this reminds me of, you remember how Clive used to have like this golden statue in his garden in his house. And that statue had a name, this golden man, I forgot. But there used to be this statue that he had in his yard, and that I remember that there were sketches of that, and then I think they kind of incorporated that into the story. So I think this is supposed to be someone from the monastery, but he's like a clockwork Cenobite. Isn't this like Jute?
Oh, okay.
I think this might be that clockwork Cenobite, right?
So, but they're not like getting in a fight with him. It's just like it just kills Bethany. And then they're like, okay, well, you just have to accept that she's dead. We need to move on. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Why aren't they all fighting him?
Well, it was because the female Cenobite killed him right here.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Yeah, this artwork change has made it difficult for me to understand what's going on.
To understand a little bit, yeah, I agree, yes. But, Bethany gets killed immediately with the counterattack. The female Cenobite kills that clockwork Cenobite.
I missed that part.
She kind of pulls out his heart or his gears from his chest, right? See?
Okay. Yeah, I get it now.
Yeah. It was an attack of opportunity. Hey, as a Dungeons and Dragons guy.
Right.
And it looks like Bethany drew a critical fail.
Yeah. Attack of opportunity is if he leaves if he tried to run away from her.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, he just kind of sneaked around the corner and just got her in the back.
Okay, and now we're introduced to Harry D'Amour, which I guess you wouldn't even know this was Harry D'Amour.
Yeah, he doesn't really look a lot like Harry D'Amour, right? We expected him to look a little more like Scott Bakula.
Yeah, and I think that they have trouble with that because they're not allowed to use Scott Bakula's likeness.
That could be a thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So some people are, which I would imagine would be involved with the reef, or at least the gathering of information that comes together as a reef. So I think he's in a bar in Louisiana, right? And he's seeing some stuff, videos that people are filming in India of what's going on there. And then all of a sudden, as soon as Spencer says, well, I guess time for our revelation is at hand, and he comes out of the Quonset hut and he swallows that little piece of the lament configuration, and all of a sudden there's like a thermonuclear explosion, right? Yeah. The whole compound is surrounded by blue light, and it's just like kind of erupts.
Yeah, he built like an energy dome.
Yeah.
And then people will try to get into it, and they just get fried.
And then immediately, Harry D'Amour gets up from the bar and says, I have a plane to catch. To be continued.
Yeah. So that's kind of like that's two issues in a row where they introduce a character that that fans would recognize and are like, oh, that's their sort of hook for the next issue.
Right.
It's like it was before. It was female Cenobite, and now it's Harry D'Amour.
So apparently this thing that nobody ever knew except for the female Cenobite and Pinhead, apparently, that he could turn himself immortal and super powerful.
Yeah.
He's just inside that weird energy dome. He's like crackling lightning, right?
Yeah.
And all his tortured souls are seeing him as a super powerful creature.
I'm after this point, I start to not understand what's going on with the artwork and stuff, but maybe you'll be able to help me because I struggle.
Sure. So I think some of the people who didn't get destroyed when they were filming what was going on around that big compound with the skinned people walking around.
We've moved on to issue 15. We should probably kind of break to explain that. Written by Clive Barker and Mark Miller, art by Janusz, Ordon, Jesus Hervas, and Ibraim Roberson with Andre Stahlschmidt.
Right.
So we've got 4 artists now. And that's going to be the same on the next issue. Right.
So you can see that some of the reporters, like that Indian reporter lady called Kapoor, she was thinking this was going to be her ticket to becoming famous. They're driving away from it, and she managed to see in her camera that Spencer swallowed something, and then everything, all hell broke loose, to use a cliche. Mm-hmm. But it looks like Spencer is just overcome with energy and power, and it's kind of hard to understand what's going on because where is this coming from, right?
Yeah. So what is that? What's going on up there? Is he flying up in the air? And it
looks like he's floating, and then he's
Elliot
just
Spencer?
changing.
Because there's like blood shooting out of him.
Yeah, I mean, remember, he's feeling all that pain, and he's getting transformed.
Because I thought that was just some guy that fell on top of the dome and exploded at first.
No, I think he's floating. See, he's floating right here, and then he keeps floating, and then his body starts changing. It's not the best explanation of what's going on.
Yeah, because he looks like he explodes in this artwork.
So they're escaping that. The tortured souls are getting in the way. They kind of crash the car.
Yeah.
And they have to run out of the car. And then they cut back to hell, right?
Yeah.
So
now we got Kirsty and company having to deal with, they need to get into the Leviathan's place.
Temple. Right.
Yeah. Past all these hordes of the damned.
Which seems like it would be practically impossible, right? Because as soon, the female Cenobite says, well, we should split up, which is kind of a cliche.
Yeah.
Like, we should split up so we're not recognized as individuals. I'm pretty sure that the Hell Priestess of Hell would be recognized by any of the tortured
she's
souls.
wearing white, and she's got pins in her head. Everybody else is all bloody, and, I don't know.
And it for a whole 5 seconds, they don't notice them. But as soon as they turn around, it's like, oh, it's her.
Yeah.
So now they're fighting all of this horde of Cenobites. And, Kirsty is holding the little box that they got in hell. Yeah. And for some reason, the box starts shining, and then something happens, right? And then they cut back to Earth, where now we see Harry D'Amour. And we also see, I think this is supposed to be Strategic Command in NORAD.
Yeah.
And they're looking at footage that was taken from a spy satellite from Calcutta. And then they're seeing that there's giant sparks and blue chains erupting around that dome of energy, right?
Yeah.
Also, apparently making its way up to space, right?
Yeah.
Because we see some astronauts here.
Yep.
And the astronauts see that there's been a detonation in the Earth, and they also have a lament configuration on their space station.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, fun stuff will have to wait. It's like, well, why do they have that?
Right, because that will come into play now. I wish that they would introduce things a little better in the writing, because I feel like sometimes you feel confused until the next page when they come up with a completely made up explanation, and then they're like, okay, but how would I supposed to know that? Where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Strategic Command at NORAD is trying to determine what's going on. Is this a nuclear detonation? Is Russia sending missiles to us? Everybody's on red alert because there's just been like a huge explosion.
Yeah.
In the meantime, and this is another thing that I think I brought up before, but time passes weirdly in between segments, right? Because while in one segment, some people are having a conversation and it's cuts before one line and then cuts to the next line as a reply. In the meantime, some other people are already taking things that would take them hours or days. Like Harry D'Amour is now outside of Louisiana and he's now in Lima, Peru, in some road.
Oh, yeah. Right. Well, and like how long did it take them to build this compound? It seemed like it didn't take very long. Yeah.
And that explosion is like a Dragon Ball explosion in the sense that it's still exploding while people have already gone from Louisiana to Peru, right? Yeah. So that causes a little bit of confusion here. And the government apparently is in contact with Harry D'Amour. So he's their guy for supernatural threats, apparently.
Yeah.
There's a part here that said, this is a proton event. There's a lot of technobabble here, isn't there? Like this. We're calling it a proton event. We calculated the area of the proton cloud to be larger than the mushroom cloud of 100 megaton nuclear bomb. That's crazy. That's a little crazy. And then someone is seeing from space, like ghost chains over India. Is that what you get out of this one as well? I
guess. It's very confusing for me.
It feels like the Doomslayer is supposed to come out at some point.
Right.
Did you get to play Doom, the new Doom?
Yeah. I played through the first one, and then the second one I didn't like it.
Oh, like Doom Eternal?
Yeah. I didn't like
That's
that one.
Really hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so when that box that Kirsty, the Hell Priestess, was holding started to glow, she found herself. I think this is because she got stabbed by Spencer and got poisoned. So something must have happened, and she's now in a separate splinter.
Is that what it is?
Dimension.
This frustrated me because I didn't know what was going on with her.
Right. I think she found herself in a weird, like, different dimension.
And she's accusing the female Cenobite of stealing her puzzle box, but it turns out
betraying her.
But it turns out she's like, it's not real. She's in like a fugue state or something. Right.
So she's stumbling around in this white nothingness. Yeah. And meantime, we see that those people in India, after this explosion, now they're moving out in all directions. So they're kind of fanning out, right? And we see all these like skinned, tortured souls, all these horrible zombies. Yeah. And they're people from hell. So this guy, for example, here is saying he's holding like a ripped off car door to say, "Oh, I used to serve in the Republican Guard. We should form ranks and prepare for attack. Hold as many women and children as hostage as possible. Yeah. This will make Ruby Ridge look like a tea party."
Yeah.
And this little kid holding the head of a cow.
Yeah.
Why would he be in hell, right?
Yeah, right.
And then they're all gathering around Spencer, who keeps sitting down in a chair that gets taller and taller and taller.
Yeah. He's like Yertle the turtle.
Yeah. So he's like, it's time to share my love with the world.
Yeah.
And then in the meantime, this episode ends with Kirsty looking super confused in the vast nothingness of this blank white and saying, "This is the end. There is no plan B."
Yeah.
And it continues to the next issue.
Yeah. This was this issue was disappointing for me because I was having a really hard time following it.
Yeah. And then this next issue, right, which is issue 16.
Yeah.
This one has different art from the beginning. This one was a little less impressive than the other two. You can definitely tell that the guy who did the art for most of this one, I don't know.
Yeah, it's same Janusz, Ordon, Stephen Thompson, Jesus Hervas, and Ibraim Roberson. Is Stephen Thompson is new, right? He wasn't in the other one.
I think so. No, I don't think he was.
Yeah.
But okay, so they
just go into like
notes. they go into like the situation room, right? And now they're thinking about, they're talking to Harry D'Amour and they're asking, why should we trust this guy? Why should we follow the advice of a psychic detective on a tiny boat just off the coast of South America? And then he says, maybe I ought to ask you what Heaven's reply is all about. And that's when the general says, kill the call.
Yeah.
Security breach. So that's why I think that Hellraiser box up in the space station has something to do with that Heaven's reply.
Oh.
Yeah.
Some kind of nuclear missile that they shoot down from space.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
I can't remember. It's been so long since I've read these. Well,
So
obviously,
in the
we're not
meantime-
going to get to that in this issue.
No. This one's going to end in a cool cliffhanger, though, because so Kirsty is still trapped in this nothingness. She's poisoned. She's feeling pain. She's bleeding out of every, wound that she has in her body. And I think she's going through some sort of transformation. In the meantime, we see that inside that compound, Spencer is rejoicing in the transformation that he's going through. All that energy, all that transformation is kind of making him transcend into something else, right?
Yeah, why does he have that big old sword there next to him in the throne? Where did he get that from?
That is part of that confusion, right? Because it looks like he's supposed to have like a crown of thorns and a big sword.
Yeah.
But then there's another, we don't really understand who this Cenobite in armor is supposed to be next
with
to
the
him.
head on the pillow or whatever.
This
What is
seems
that?
more like a plan for like a pinup that someone was making, and then they just decided to put it in here.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like a vision of the future,
Okay.
because he is trying to visualize, right? He's saying there's so much more. And then it visualizes like a world where he's controlling Earth and there's a big giant eclipse and he's like sitting in a throne forever. I think that's his will. He wants to rule Earth as if he's like a god.
All right. So now I'm also really, really confused about how the female Cenobite is talking to these people. How did this happen?
She's talking to Scott Bakula, right? That's the source that she said she had on Earth.
Okay, so that's she's talking to Harry D'Amour.
Yeah. This is supposed to be Harry D'Amour, even though it doesn't look like him. It looks a little more like Nicolas Cage in this page.
Yeah, every time, every artist is making him look different within the same comic.
I like that they come over to the side of this secret boat.
Yeah.
And they go up into the boat. And the first thing D'Amour asks is there a latrine on this barge? Like the first thing he wants to do is use the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. All right. So we see Kirsty gets visited in this blank dimension by this entity, right?
Yeah. I thought, and does that thing represent sort of herself? It's like the spirit of Pinhead.
Yeah, I thought that's what it is, because it says, I'm only here to guide you and cannot answer your questions, since my answers would be of no use to you. You must look for yourself. Ask of yourself what you are meant to do. It looks like it is part of Kirsty.
Yeah.
It's or part of like something inside Kirsty kind of going outside of her and saying, hey, we're changing. You got to deal with this.
It's like the Pinhead spirit from the Pinhead comics.
Yeah, helping her to overcome the poison in the heart.
Yeah.
This is Harry D'Amour again, and he's on the boat, and he's apparently flicking a coin to be able to communicate with the female Cenobite. Right?
I'm sorry to the artist, but I really don't like the art here.
Yeah.
I couldn't even understand that that's what was happening, that him flipping a coin was somehow summoning the female Cenobite. I was just like, how did it all of a sudden female Cenobite is talking to these humans when she was in hell a little bit ago? And I didn't even know that was Harry D'Amour.
I think, you have to keep track of that. You have to go back and reread it and understand it. But only thing I criticize on this page here, apart from the artwork and the style a little bit, is what are they doing? Why does flipping a coin summon the Cenobite? What kind of coin is that? Yeah. It just feels like sometimes things happen because the story needs them to happen, you know?
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to know why flipping a coin puts him in contact with her. Maybe they'll explain that in a comic to come. So I don't remember that.
I don't remember either.
But anyway, the message that the female Cenobite has for Harry D'Amour is that he has to meet Priscilla Spencer. He has to find that person. So she's telling him to find someone who's probably related to Elliot, right? That's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, in the meantime, see, this explosion is still going on.
And then they've got Heaven's Reply in like a big marquee, like it's a movie title on this person's laptop.
Right, because they were saying here, they explain, each of you is about to gain access to a covert operation that the president doesn't even know about.
Yeah.
So, basically they're saying, hey, we knew we were going to get in trouble because there's going to be all sorts of threats. We decided to start considering any things that could disturb life on Earth, from terrorism to blackmail to extraterrestrial invasion, or another no-win scenario involving a religious extremist with absolute nuclear capabilities or a messiah of evil with unknowable limitations. This is that scenario.
Yeah.
So the government had a plan to deal with, like, what if we had like an evil presence with a lot of power?
And Heaven's Reply was one of the various working titles for the Scarlet Gospels. So they like to work that Heaven's Reply in whenever they can.
Yeah. So we go back to Kirsty still in the void, and she is meditating and cleaning the poison out of her system and transcending back to her normal self. So she reverts back to being Kirsty Cotton in the flesh.
But this is just still inside of her own mind, right? I don't know that she's actually changing.
That's right.
We're not going to know.
Materializes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I guess we'll know that on the next issue, because
I know it's a little confusing. This is why I guess at this point I was buying trade paperbacks instead of buying the actual issues. They're still talking in Brooklyn, New York, which I'm assuming is probably, where the people who are gathered to discuss this Heaven's Reply thing.
Which is confusing because I thought Harry D'Amour was on a boat.
Yeah. I honestly don't know who these people are. Like you said, It's really hard when their faces are almost hard to make out. It's kind of hard to know who they are. But anyway, this guy is definitely like a colonel or something.
Yeah.
And then they have Heaven's Reply with like a giant mushroom cloud in a screen, which kind of hard to understand what they're showing if it's a computer. But anyway, Pinhead keeps growing out of that blue light, and all of a sudden he materializes around the planet Earth. And it ends with a giant Pinhead face saying, "Hello, world," to be continued. It escalates really fast here at the end.
And "Hello, world" is like when you first learn coding. That's the first thing you type, right? That's the "Hello, world." Yeah.
I guess Pinhead discovered how to program in the Matrix language.
Right.
So that's it. I mean, that's a super huge cliffhanger that there's a giant spiritual Pinhead floating as big as the Earth.
Yep.
Kind of makes you wonder.
Maybe sometime next month we'll come back to the next issue 17 through 20. Yeah, and and also coming next, we're still going to be, when we do our fundraiser, we'll kind of also be planning out what we're going to do for our season of episodes. But we will be doing a 2023 in review. We've got some other stuff that we weren't able to get to last year in 2023, so we're going to do our coverage of the Quartet of Torment. We've got an interview related to that we're still trying to get that worked out. And more news episodes. Jericho Squad will come back. The A to Z commentary, Z for Zombies. We're going to do Evil Dead 1, 2, and Army of Darkness. And, of course, come back to the Boom Hellraiser comics.
Yay.
That's
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking forward to these comics. They're pretty good so far, but they were a little frustrating with the constant changes in art. But, you know, I appreciate what they were trying to do. They were trying to create a completely, like, you know, active, dynamic, and exciting adventure. And it just seems like sometimes the action just was a little hard to follow.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's hard for a comic story not to, after a few issues, not to get into, like, a global scale, you know, apocalyptic or whatever. But Hellraiser stories most of the time are more like intimate, you know, with just a few people, and I don't know. I wonder. I wonder now if it might be better to kind of stick to that.
Curious to go back to Jericho Squad 77 and see where we go from there as well.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of were left in a transitional period in the last episode, so I'm curious to know where our characters are going to go afterwards. Some things have definitely changed a lot. We've grown a lot since our big defeat a couple of episodes ago.
Right, everybody's alive again.
Yep.
Yeah, headed with a plan to go to Darther City.
That's right, and see if we can find the heart of Apeximenius.
I thought you were going there to get Cassius's body.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We're going there to get Cassius's body, but I'm sure things are going to come up.
So, and this podcast having no beginning will have no end. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have subscribed. You can find the Clive Barker podcast wherever you find audio. Show notes for this episode, as well as news and reviews, can be found at our website at www.clivebarkercast.com. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial podcast and blog that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans. You can chat with us on our Facebook BarkerCast listeners group, our Facebook page, Twitter, or our new Discord server. Watch for our annual Kickstarter fundraisers to get some cool stuff, and you can buy t-shirts on our TeePublic store. Go to tpublic.com and search for BarkerCast. Opening music by Ray Norrish, end credit music by Matt Furness.
Thanks for listening.